Hello everybody, my name is Infiniti and welcome to day 7 of Vlogust. Where have these days gone? I can't believe I stuck with this long. If you don't know, I am the face and the voice behind all the content that you see under Infiniti Crafting Co. across the web. So if you see anything with Infiniti Crafting Co. 9 times out of 10, it's me. Hello. Today's topic is going to be on content creation. I have been a part of quite a few YouTuber type groups, and I often see people ask about, whether they should start a channel or whether they should become a content creator. And I kind of wanted to relate it back to being a crafter or a crafty content maker. So first and foremost, you don't necessarily have to be a YouTuber to create content. I think that's become one of the most popular forms of content creation because video making is something that seems easy and it's something that's highly accessible to most people, and they just fall in love with it and feel comfortable with it. But you can also be a content creator in the form of writing blogs and patterns and things like that. But I do think, as a person who writes blogs and patterns as well, that YouTube does or video making in general, actually helps that process a little bit, because you get to talk about it and kind of explain yourself behind some things. If you're a blogger or if you're a pattern maker, you get to make a tutorial that goes along with the pattern, because what I've noticed is that a lot of crafties, they like written patterns. Sometimes they watch videos to accompany them, and then you have a lot of crafties that they cannot read or do not want to read a written pattern, which I feel that. I feel that. So they will watch a video of the pattern instead. So I mean, you just have a little bit more of versatility when it comes to video content creation, as opposed to solely doing written content creation. I guess we'll call it that. So here are a few things. I'm not going to make this a super long video, but I just wanted to run over a few things that you should probably ask yourself before you start content creating, or if you can determine it's for you. It's one of the big things is, are you going to be committed and consistent with it? Because once you start creating content and you start getting people who like your stuff, you kind of got to stick with it for a little bit, and you have to determine within yourself whether or not that's going to be a thing for you. Something else, surprisingly, there are a lot of shy people who are video makers, and you'd never be able to tell it if they didn't tell you, because I have recently discovered this, and I'm like, wow, that's really interesting when you find that out about some of your favorite content creators, because it's like, oh wow, if they can do it, I can do it too, especially if you're interested in the whole video making thing. Now, in regards to that, whether or not you should pursue it, it just depends on you. So everybody's different, and everybody has varying levels of what they can and cannot do as far as being social and things like that. So personally, I was just when I started my channel, I wasn't as shy as I was way back when I started crafting. At that point, I was about a year, almost 2 years deep into being a student leader, and that kind of kicked me out of my initial shell. And I was like, okay, you know what, this is cool and all, but I think I want to step it up and grow a little bit more. So then that also went into why I started YouTube way back when, 2 years ago. My gosh. Anyway, so I saw it as a challenge for self-improvement, which, it's been cool, because I can definitely say, going back and looking at my first video where I decided to be on camera and looking at the ones that I create now, stark contrast. And that's not just with the setup and everything, it's also with just my demeanor on camera, me being comfortable looking at the camera. If you can't look people in the eyes, don't imagine your camera as a person, trust me. But anyway, I also find that kind of helps, though, if you are trying to work through that. But you really should decide on whether or not you can handle being visible or not, because that's going to be something that comes in tandem with being a content creator, a video content creator. Now, if you're just writing blogs or whatever, a picture will suffice on your blog. Like, okay, this is the face behind the words and all that. That'll suffice. But if you look into transitioning into more, like I said, video type things, then you have to really, really think about that. Should you become a content creator? What content do you want to make or think that you would enjoy making? Because there's no need in going into something that you don't enjoy. Like, you have to get into it for the right reasons, in my opinion, because otherwise you will inevitably encounter burnout. And I mean, it can happen to anybody. Even if you love what you're doing, you can burn yourself out. And I mean, it happens to all of us. So, you know, make sure you're taking your breaks between there. But you really need to establish what it is you want to do and how likely you are to stick to that and how much you actually like doing that thing. So like with me, I know I was artsy and I know I love crochet and knitting and all that fun stuff. So I'm like, well, I do it every day anyway. Why not make a channel on it and kind of thrive off of that idea? So have your ideas in line. That's for any kind of video making. Another thing, it's like determine your subgroup in there, I think, because there are a lot of content creators in the crafty community, and not all of us do tutorials. Some people, they vlog about crafting, or they just, like, they strictly do, like, finished object things or advice things. Not everybody does tutorials. Not everybody's a teacher, and that's good and fine. Like, the world would be boring if everybody could do the same thing. So, I mean, that's my centro. So you just know what content creation works for you. Another thing that goes into content creating and should be a determining factor on whether or not you get into it is, can you be yourself when you're on camera? So like a lot of times when people start out making content or whatnot, they have this idea because they're trying to emulate the people that they look up to in that specific you know, niche. And so they try to emulate that, and they come off kind of stiffish, you know, and you can tell that it's not just like their personality, it's not their main state of being. And so you want to be able to be yourself in whatever you are doing. So like, again, there's a total difference. Like, you can tell when somebody's not used to being on camera and they're shy and they haven't broken out of that. But then you can also tell who is trying to put up a facade, so to speak. And I find that you get more engagement and more interaction with your community and find more success when you're just chilling and being yourself. And I think that goes for a lot of the big YouTubers or video or content creators in general who give advice. They're just like, I got out here and I'm just doing my thing and I was being myself. So, I mean, if you can't be yourself while you're doing something, you're going to end up being miserable. So, like, just don't do it if you're not going to be able to be yourself. I'm probably going to do a video later in Vlogust about how, or like, well, not how, but maybe the tips that I would have or advice I would have for people who are a little introverted, a little shy, or maybe really shy, and they want to get into doing YouTube videos or content creation in general, and kind of how to kind of overcome some of that, because I realized that that's a big thing. That is a big thing, and it's bigger than I ever thought it was, because like at one point nobody ever talked about it. Nobody ever said, hey, you know what, this makes me anxious, but I do it because it's fun. I only, like I said, only maybe this year, toward the beginning of this year and throughout the year, I have heard people come out and actually talk about that. And that's something that's really important, because I think as people grow in content creation and they're putting out things for people to view, they gain an audience that looks up and looks out to them, and they're just like, oh, I have to be like X, Y, Z and so because they're like this on camera and all that. I also probably want to talk about later in this month, this video is going to serve as a reminder, about like setup and things. I kind of want to show off my creation space, because some people, they want to jump into content creation but they feel like they can't because they don't have the fanciest setup. So, you know, I think the other day I mentioned when I first started YouTube, I had my phone and I had a $10 tripod. That was it. And I figured it out, and my setup was so wonky. I was in the corner of my bedroom on the floor. So, I mean, you can start from there, and then you can like eventually build up your own space if you're able to, or just kind of tweak things to the way you like. But nobody starts at the at like up here. Everybody starts like down here. So don't feel bad if you don't have like a particular setup. And then like a lot of phones have really great cameras. So come on. Now, of course, now I have the different equipment and stuff that I like to use, and I'm still slowly but surely building up my little collection. I think over time I've become a camera junkie, but that's another story. I hope that if you have questions about, specifically about how I've gone about it over the past couple of years of doing my content creation and scheduling and things like that, please, please, please leave me questions. I love community engagement. I love answering questions from you guys, and I hopefully will get more questions from you guys as the month goes on. I have so many ideas, but you know, I like hearing from you all. So don't forget to leave me a question down in my comment section below. If you're watching this on Instagram, I think the comment section is also below the video. I forget. If you are on Facebook and you have found Infiniti Crafting Co.'s page, you can also DM me the questions over there, or on Instagram, wherever you find this. I don't mind answering questions. I think they're fun, and I enjoy struggling to come up with answers. I think it's fun to kind of get my wheels turning as well. Also, don't forget to check out my other social media. I'm on pretty much everything except for Snapchat, so I have a little something out there for everybody. You can find my links in my description box below if you're on YouTube, and in my bio if you're on Instagram. And until tomorrow, guys, happy making.